Okay, we're going to talk about transitions today. So you'll see I've got a few clips over here on the timeline, and they just cut from one to the other. That is currently what the transitions are between the clips. They're just cuts. There's nothing in between them. And so what we'd like to do is add some transition effects. And the most common one of those is the cross dissolve. It is the default transition. If we go here to the effects panel and twirl down the video transitions folder, we can see there is a dissolve folder. We'll go ahead and twirl that down, and you can see that the cross dissolve is already highlighted in blue. That means it is the default transition. I'm going to go ahead and grab that and drag it over to the left side of the first clip. Now I've added a cross dissolve on one side of the clip, and you'll see that the behavior is then basically like a fade from black, since it's dissolving from nothing onto the clip. And of course, the other way to use it is to dissolve between two clips. And so I can drag it onto the cut between them and let go. And I now have this lovely cross dissolve between the two clips. Nice and smooth. So what if I want to adjust this cross dissolve? Well, I can actually grab the end of it and adjust it. You can see below it's telling me how long the transition is going to be. And so I could just lengthen it that way. Now it's very short, quick fade. But now, actually, I would like to do something different about it. I think that maybe this is, it needs to be offset a little bit. Like the fade needs to happen a little earlier than the cut. So if I select it here and come up to my effects controls panel, you can see the transition right here in between the incoming and the outgoing, or I'm sorry, the outgoing and the incoming. In the effects controls panel, you can see that the outgoing media clip is on the top and the incoming media clip is on the bottom. So this is our transition here, and you'll notice this icon changes when I have it over the transition itself. This is the offset icon, and I can click and drag this now to change the in and out point of my transition. So if I wanted it to come a little bit earlier than the cut, I can just slide it back and forth. And if I want to lengthen it, again, I can do that all right here. And the duration is reflected right there in this value. You can also see below that the alignment now has been changed to custom, where we normally have centered or starting at the cut or ending at the cut. Those are all our different options by default. So now that we have our transition working nicely between the two, let's go ahead and put one on this next clip. Well, actually, wait a second. I don't think I'm going to be able to, because this clip, as you can see, has a little tiny triangle up in the corner. And that denotes that the first frame of this clip is the first frame of the media source file. So I don't have any handles. Handles being the number of frames outside of your in and out points. And if I were to drop this cross dissolve onto this here, you see that it doesn't allow me to put it in the middle or center it. If I put it there, it only allows me to do the start from cut position, because as you can see, that's the first frame of video. Now, if I wanted the transition to happen earlier, I'm going to have to slip this piece of media to start earlier, which I can do by just grabbing the slip tool and clicking and dragging inside of this. Let's say we move it over by 1 second. Like that. Now we can see that if I were to, let me get my select tool back. And if I select this dissolve again and go up to the effects controls panel, we can see now that since I've slipped the video file, I've got an extra second here, which means that I should be able to now center it at the cut. And that works great. So that works. Okay, great. Now, what if I'm working really fast and I know I want to put a transition between all of these that's the same? So what I can do is just select all of these files, go to Sequence, and then apply default transitions to selection. Boom. There you go. And actually what it's done is applied audio transitions as well. Now, if we look at the end, we have the same behavior as the beginning. So it's crossfading from this clip to nothing. So it's fading to black, essentially. So if we wanted to fade to black, we can also do that. We can select this transition and just hit delete, and it is gone now. And let's go over here to our effects library, and I can't really find it right away. What am I going to do? Well, I'll just type right in here, dip to black. There it is. And it's in our dissolve folder as well. I didn't even notice. Okay, so if I want to dip to black, I can actually just grab it and place it there. And it's going to have the same, essentially the same effect as the cross dissolve when we fade to nothing. Okay, so what if we decide everything is great, but we actually don't like the cross dissolve? We want to do something else. So let's go ahead and select the cross dissolve, and we'll just delete it. We're going to hit delete. What I think would be fun is if we could maybe do a slide. So let's try a push. We'll actually grab the push transition effect and lay it down on the cut, let go, and now when we select that, we are presented with a lot more info. We can see the starting and the ending, and if we were to scan the timeline, we see what happens there. It pushes it. But maybe we don't like that. We want to change direction or something like that. So we can come down here and choose reverse. And now we see that it goes the other way. There's a lot of functionality up here, and you'll just have to dig into it and look further. You will see that you can save time and resources by unchecking this box and just get a basic idea of what's going to happen. But if your computer's strong enough and you don't mind, you can actually leave this checked, and it helps visually to tell what's happening. So one of the main things about applying transition effects is making sure that you have enough media before and after. That's called handles. And that you have the right center point for your effect. And all of those things can be accessed up here in the effects controls panel.